Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight, we're looking at a couple of legends. We've got Johnny Cash and Roy Clark, and they're going to be playing through Folsom Prison Blues. So let's get these guys up on screen and see how they get on.
All right.
I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rolling on down to San Antonio.
Well, when I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy. Don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
I said, won't you go and die?
Every time I hear that freight train, I hang my head and I cry. Now he's pretty good. You ain't gonna believe this, John.
I'm just going to jump in here because we've got this classic Roy Clark delivery, the way that he puts his personality into every performance. And this track really does start just normally with Johnny Cash, just delivering like he normally would, just straight-faced and quite a serious delivery like you get with Johnny. But when Roy comes in, it's then just a change of mood and he really lifts the atmosphere and he always plays with a smile on his face. And this is one of the things about Roy Clark, that he was such a gifted player, such a technically great player as well, but because he's always smiling, people think it's really easy, when in fact a lot of the stuff that he does is just insanely difficult and really of a top technical level. And just talking about Johnny Cash for a second, he's one of those guys that, imagine if Johnny Cash tried to be somebody else or copy the way somebody else played, which I mention all the time about artists or players who want to copy other players and singers who want to copy other singers. Whereas Johnny Cash, because he was just himself, that's what made him so unique. And one of the biggest selling artists of all time, like 90 million albums, something like that. And Johnny was one of those guys that absolutely transcended genres, because he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he's also in the Gospel Hall of Fame. So he put out such a strong message in his songs and delivered them so well that they connected with so many people that, as I said, it transcended genres. Everybody could listen to it. Johnny married June Carter, and if you haven't seen my video on Mother Maybelle Carter, check that one out if you get a chance, because that was June's mother. So of course that's Johnny's mother-in-law. So the country connections that were in the family there were just absolutely crazy. So have a little look into that if you can. Johnny certainly had that outlaw image. He used to play gigs in prisons just to entertain the inmates a little bit, but he was arrested 7 times, but only served 1 day. That's the longest that he served in each of those 7 cases. And one of those, he actually got arrested for picking flowers on private property. So he wasn't a really serial offender in terms of doing serious crimes. We know that Roy was a talented multi-instrumentalist. He could pretty much play anything with strings on it. You can see just in this shot that Johnny's really opening up now, and Roy gets that out of an audience and out of people people. He's just so entertaining to watch. And just before I start the track again, I want everyone to listen out to how good the band are in the background, because this isn't a click track. This isn't just a backing track that they're playing to like you get nowadays all the time. They're literally waiting for vocal cues from Johnny and Roy in order to then start that progression and just keep it going, because here they're just looping it around while they're waiting for Roy to finish. And sometimes you'll see later on there's a little section that is open-ended because Roy's laughing, so they're just looping it around waiting for that vocal cue, and then they start up again. But it's one of these really subtle things that great players are that switched on that they don't worry about where are we in the track, oh we should be in a chorus now, what's happening. They'll just keep looping a certain section, and then they'll keep that progression going as soon as everybody's ready to then move on. Let's get back into the track.
I bet there's rich folks eating in a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But those people keep a-moving, and that's what tortures me. I can't wait to see what you're gonna do now.
I can't either. Well, they free me from it. Well, you get hung up right here at the end. If and they free me from this prison, and that railroad train was mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Lord, so far from Folsom Prison. You see that, John? That was my thumb. I had it on the top going.
You better watch it, it'll turn on.
Well, I woke up one morning and there it was. I used to be able to do that by myself. All I do is cry.
Just going to jump in here because that's the prime example that they're just waiting for that vocal cue of all I do is cry, and then they're doing the chord change. They're then changing the progression, continuing on. So classic case, you could see in the background that the band are actually laughing because this would not have been rehearsed. This is not something that you've already seen 20 times, so you pretend to laugh. It's something that everyone's seeing for the first time. That's the kind of thing that Roy Clark could do. He'd do something that still sounds musically fine, you know, it's actually just a really nice little bit of guitar playing, but he's using somebody else's shoe to do it and does it against the mic stand. It's just these really innovative ways of playing the guitar that Roy just had up his sleeve, but they're just as entertaining as they are impressive. Let's just catch the end of the track.
Hear that lonesome whistle, I hang my head and I cry. I think we've had it, John.
I think we have.
We better take it home while we're still ahead.
On down to San Antone.
And there we go. What a cool performance that was, because there's so many little aspects to it. There's so many great things about this video. You've got the great backing band, you've got Roy's classic delivery, but also the way that Johnny laughs when Roy starts doing his more humorous things on the guitar, because it shows how comfortable they are. It shows you the relationship between the two artists on stage, and it's so cool to see that, because knowing that they're really comfortable in each other's company means that the audience can now relax and enjoy the performance. Two legends of country music here, and I know that Johnny Cash had that cooler outlaw image, maybe where Roy Clark didn't have that kind of image, but it by no means makes him any less of an artist. Roy could play with the best of them in terms of his technical ability on the guitar, but also on so many other instruments, because it's one thing playing lots of instruments and for that to be impressive, and it's a whole nother thing to play a lot of instruments at a high level, exactly like Roy did. And you know that Roy could play some serious guitar when you hear those stories by Alice Cooper, who said that Van Halen asked him, because he knew Glenn Campbell, he asked Alice Cooper to ask Glenn Campbell to ask Roy Clark for a guitar lesson. So Van Halen wanted some of what Roy had. He could obviously see that technical ability there on the fretboard and probably thought, I wouldn't mind having some of that in my own playing. But it just goes to prove that even though he didn't have that really cool image, Roy was really up there with some of the best technical players. Johnny Cash just had his own unique vocal that as soon as you heard it, you knew that it was Johnny Cash. And this is one of the things that I say is the holy grail, having your own sound, whether that be on a guitar or vocally. It's so difficult to get, but Johnny absolutely had that. And the way that he did deliver his vocals, it was like telling a story, and that's what country music is all about. So 2 absolute legends here. Thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at. Keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!